Okay, now we're going to put this together and we're going to start graphing using the slope and the y-intercept. So if I'm given the slope and I'm given the y-intercept, I can put that together into the equation, right? What would the equation be if the slope is negative 3/7 and the y-intercept is negative 6? Who can tell me what the equation would be? Go ahead. Negative 3/7. Is there a number that is there something that goes next to the slope? X, good. And then where do I put the y-intercept? Or minus 6? Minus 6, okay. So now, if I know this point, the y-intercept, where does the y-intercept belong? On the, yes, y-axis. So here we have 0, negative 6. That I make that point because a lot of people will get that confused, and the biggest mistake I see is that the y-intercept sometimes gets graphed on the x-axis. Okay, but don't do that. It's the y-intercept, it goes on the y-axis. All right, now how do I use the slope? And some of you a lot of people, when it comes to a fraction and it's negative, they're like, well, what part of the fraction is negative? So what is your response to that? Yeah, or the bottom, but not both. So either the numerator or the denominator can get the negative sign, but not both, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, the slope means rise over run. So don't worry that it's a fraction. That means I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. That's in a positive direction. So, well, I could go either way. So I could go, if I start with this one, all right, I would go down 1, 2, 3, and then positive 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But you notice I can't really go down 3 anymore. I'm running out of graph. And I don't want to add more graph on there. So if I want another point, I could use this. Is the exact same thing. I could go up 1, 2, 3, and go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I have those 3 points. I have my intercept, and I have 2 more points. And I could plot my line. Now, you all have graphing calculators, so you could put this in and make sure that it's exactly the same. Why don't I just do that right now? Okay, if I put this in my calculator, I go to y equals, I clear out anything I have. If I want it to match, I go to my orange line. Just kidding. Okay, and then I go negative. Now, don't use minus. You have to use the negative sign. Negative 3 divided by 7 times x minus 6. And then I push graph, and I should see the same picture. Another way you could check it, if you didn't have a graphing calculator to check it, you could take a point. Now, what's the ordered pair of this point right here? Can anyone tell? 7, negative 9. Close. It had to be 7 because remember I ran 7, right? Who can tell me what the ordered pair of this point is? Negative 7, negative 3. Any one of those points, if you plug it into the equation, it will work. So if I go y equals negative 3/7 times 7, see that's why we did the multiples of 7, minus 6, I should get negative 9. Do I? Well, 7 divided by 7 is 1. Negative 3 minus 6 is negative 9. So that point checks out. So any point on my line should work in the equation. I'm just showing you different ways to check, because do you think that people get this mixed up, the rise and the run? Absolutely. That's why if we have a negative slope, you want to look back and say, well, is my line going down from left to right? If I was downhill skiing, would I feel very negative right now? Maybe you wouldn't, but I would, okay? All right, let's try this other one. Graph the line with the slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 6. So who can tell me the equation of that line? Start with y equals 2x minus 6, right? So this has the same y-intercept, negative 6. What's my slope? How am I going to use the slope is 2? So from that point 0, negative 6, and I'm just going to label it, that's my y-intercept on the y-axis. How do I graph the line from there? I know what the rise is, but what's the run? The rise is 2. What's the run? There's an implied 1, okay? So from here, if I go rise 2 and run 1, I go up 2, 1, 2, over 1. Up 2, over 1. Rise 1, 2, run 1. Rise 1, 2, run 1. I can just keep doing this on and on and on. Okay, what if I wanted some points down here? Well, that's where the idea of negative 2 over negative 1 comes in. If I rise negative 2, run negative 1, negative 2, negative 1, those points are also co-linear. They're on the line. Okay? I draw my line. I draw arrows on the end. What's my x-intercept? Just curious. Anyone? 3, 0. So I could use that to check if I plug in 3 for x, will I get 0 for y? Well, let's try it out. 2 times 3 minus 6 is 6 minus 6, and that's equal to 0. So that means that y equals 0 when x equals 3. That's my x-intercept. It's just a checkpoint. I'm just seeing, is my line, it has a positive slope, is the line going up, from left to right? Am I climbing onto the, what is that called? The thing that goes up the mountain? Ski lift, yeah. Okay, now if I have an equation, if I have an actual line, can I find the slope and can I find the y-intercept? Can I actually find the equation of the line? So let's see if we can do that. What's the y-intercept here? I think it's 0, 2, right? Oh, I meant the y-intercept. You already calculated the slope? Okay, and the slope, I can take any 2 points. It doesn't matter what points. Here's a point and here's a point. How much did I rise? How much did I run? My rise, it looks like was 2. And my run from here to here, my run was 4. So if I go rise of 2 over run of 4, what does that equal to? 1/2. It reduces. So I have put it together into an equation. Y equals 1/2 x plus 2. And I know it's positive because the line is going up from left to right. If you look at this line, tell me something that you notice about that line right off the bat. Must have what kind of slope? Yes, this is going to have a negative slope because the line is going down from left to right. We have our y-intercept is 0, 2, same y-intercept. And then if I want to calculate the slope, I can come up with any 2 points. And I just happen to like that x-intercept, but I could also use this point as well. So if I use this point, I'm going down 2, and I'm going positive 8. Also, I'm going down negative 2 here. I'm going left positive 8. So that means my rise is negative 2, and my run is 8. Does that fraction reduce? What does it reduce down to, you guys? Negative 1/4. Yeah, negative 1/4. And by the way, if I went from here to here, I could go rise 2, run negative 8. So see how this would be a positive 2, negative 8, same thing. Positive 2, negative 8, slope is negative 1/4. What's the equation of this line? Put it all together. Y equals Negative 1/4 x plus 2. And by the way, that would be the same thing as y equals negative x over 4 plus 2. It's just another way of writing it, x divided by 4, because I could say, well, x over 1 times x is x, or negative 1 times x is negative x, 4 times 1. So it's the same thing. I just am showing you different variations on that. Okay, you see this kind of line. What kind of line is this? Horizontal line, right? It's a horizontal line. Horizontal. You see what I did there? Okay. Horizontal line. What kind of slope does it have? 0 slope, right? The slope is 0. You could prove it to yourself. The rise is 0. The run from here to here is 6. So if I have 0 rise over 6 run, I have a 0 slope. Anyone tell me the equation of this line? This y-intercept is 0, 4. What's the equation? There you go. Y equals 4. And then we look at this line. This is a vertical line. See? See what I did there? Vertical. Okay. Horizontal, H. Vertical. Has a V pointing down. Okay. What's the slope? Yes, the slope is undefined. And I'm going to run out of room because I have my hole punch there. Okay, if you wanted to prove it, you could take 2 points and you could say, well, from here to here, I have a rise, which is equal to 8. What was my run? I had 0 run. Anytime you divide by 0, you have undefined. Can anyone tell me what the equation of this line would be? X equals 4. Brilliant. X equals a number is always going to be the equation. X equals a number is going to be the equation of a vertical line. Okay, let's have you try those